Please welcome Women Network's 30 Voices.
Hi, everyone. Really proud to be here, and it was such an enormous experience to be with Michelle and this incredible group of 30 voices up for that week. So let me just tell you who's here. We are Daryl, Gurney, and Alexandra Levin from theback40.com. This is Burge Lyons-Smith from essenceofbeing.com. We have Anka Marza from speakyourpower.com. Make sure you're writing all these down. We have Heshi Siegel from kidsbetterworld.com. We have Werner Berger, Guinness Book of World Record holder and chief peak climber for The Game Is Not Over. We have Jeanette Joy Fisher from joytothehome.com. And we have Trish Carr from womensprosperitynetwork.com. And Michelle, guess where she's from? Thank y'all. It's a pleasure being here. It's a pleasure being part of this conference. God bless.
All right, so these guys came in from all over the country. The other half of us is in New Zealand. We got close, we got tight. We have other trips that are planned with Women Network, so check out Women Network booth because we're going to one of my favorite places. We're going to Italy this next year. So we would love to have you come and join us. And it's you create long-lasting relationships forever. So I would love to have you. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome T.O. Walker.
Welcome, everyone. I have to tell you, this is one of my favorite things in the world to do, and that is celebrating amazing women, and I like to refer to them as the sheroes of the world. Some of those women who you may not know their names, but they're out doing an incredible work in the world, and so tonight is our time to shine a spotlight on them. So you're going to hear about some women and hear from some women who, again, they're out there doing their thing, not looking for any accolades, and yet they're really amazing women and they're causing incredible impact, positive impact in the world. And so I have to say that this award is not your typical award, so don't think you're just going to just sit there and watch someone come in and receive an award. What we want to do is let this be a reflection of our bigger community, and that is being in sisterhood, being in connection, and knowing that we are better for getting to know each other and to celebrate each other. Because in the past, I think every woman has had a point in their life where maybe they weren't treated as kind as we could have been to each other, and we're getting rid of that. That's like something in the past that we are actually healing by just acknowledging some of the incredible women here. So get ready, we're gonna have a good time. I am going to introduce to you a lovely young woman. Her name is Luminess, and after you hear her sing, I think you'll probably agree with me that her voice is not only it illuminates the soul, but she is just a very delightful, our millennial. We have some incredible young people who we like to acknowledge because as much as we do the work that we're out doing in the world, how important it is for us to give back and to actually mentor and to bring others along. So Luminess, I am welcoming her to sing Gardener of Our Soul, and this is something that she wrote herself, and I think you'll be delighted by it.
Thank you, Tia. cultivated or neglected are fruitful seeds being planted, or do weeds grow tall only to suffocate them all? Have your gardens been neglected? Are your wounds, are your wounds now infected, feeling powerless, disconnected from your soul? Disconnected from it all. Darling, you remember, remember you. Remember, remember you. You're not alone, you're not alone, sweet gardener of your soul. Take control, then watch your gardens grow. Become beautiful, beautiful, beautify. Yeah. Crying out, afraid to shout, but I was twinkling, twinkling before the weeds came in, falling, crawling on my knees. I was searching for something that would set me free. I was blaming the circumstances, oh, and blaming the wrong romances, oh, blaming some bad decisions, meanwhile losing my vision. Losing my vision, made a few bad decisions, yeah. Losing my vision. Darling, 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 yeah. Remember, remember you. Remember, remember you. You're not alone, you're not alone. Self-examination, self-control. You know more than they got you thinking you know. Continue with persistence, crystallize your existence, then watch your gardens grow. A sweet gardener, sweet gardener of your beautiful soul, your beautiful soul, your beautiful soul, your beautiful soul. Thank you. Thank you. I think that's it. My name is Luminous. Thank you all. This has been
Ladies
a
and
real
gentlemen,
honor.
please welcome back Tia Walker.
Here for a second. So was I right? She's delightful. And I appreciate you. Thank you, Luminous. And I'd love to tell you about some of the amazing women that we have that are in our midst this afternoon. We have two special women who we're actually honoring posthumously. One of which, I must say, she was someone who I adored, someone who lit up the community in Los Angeles. And some of you may know her son, who is Steven Spielberg. So Leah Adler Spielberg is one of the posthumous winners that you have the good fortune of learning a little bit about this afternoon. And the other one you may know, she's a household name to many of us, and that is Dr. Maya Angelou. And I had the good opportunity of speaking with her son, who sent a special word and a special poem that we'll share. But right now, we are going to welcome up to the stage, and I know many of you know some of these women who have come to gather and celebrate them. And the first woman that I want to celebrate is Miss Adrienne Brandis. So Adrienne, the lovely woman that she is, if you know her personally, you know that she's an incredible woman. Adrienne is definitely a one-percenter. In 1981, Adrienne was one of the top 1% of women who had a job as a police officer. And I must say, when I first saw her, I thought fashion, stylish, and I saw her in her uniform with her red lipstick, looking as amazing as she does today, but also recognizing and knowing what it took for her to actually be a woman in a very male-dominated industry, obviously, career, and to just shine. She was one of the co-founders of the DARE program. I know that many of us who have children have had their sons and daughters go through that program. And now she is spending a lot of her time building, and that is building relationships, actually building a real estate, I want to say empire. I'm going to call it that. But really, yes, we think big. And she's been a resident of Orange County for over 25 years, and I really appreciate Miss Adrienne Brandis.
So thank you very much. I want to say I'm very honored to be among this extraordinary group of women here today. And I want to thank the women that blazed the path for me, because there were many. There were sergeants in my locker room when I came in at, Friday crying at 5 o'clock saying, I can't do one more push-up. I just can't do this. And, but I also, more importantly, want to thank my friends that are here today. I love you all so much, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy lives to support me. It means the world to me. And I want to thank everybody and all the women that believe in the power to support one another, which I think is so important. Supporting each other to get inspired, to get connected, and to get results, which is the theme of our, right? Yeah. So, and we, unlike men, and I promised I wasn't even going to use the word men in my speech, but I just did, so. But how do we do this? How do we support one another? We just need to look at one another and say, how can I make you a better woman? How can we get to that goal line together? How can I lift you up? How can I help you get in the saddle and ride together, even if you've never been on a horse? That's for you, Kathy Acevedo. Ladies and gentlemen, we can do this. One compliment, one support system, one friend, one mentor, and one day at a time. That's how you change the world. Like the old saying goes, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So that's why we're here today. We're the leaders of tomorrow. And again, it's one gesture, one moment, one look, one glance, and one thumbs up that can change an entire lifetime. Empower yourself, empower one another. As Mother Teresa said, you can do what I cannot do. I can do what you cannot do. Together, we can do great things.
Thank you. For you, my dear. Yes.
Thank you so much. Love you. Mwah.
And you may sit. Thank you. Wow, and I love that she walks that walk. The next person that I want to welcome to the stage, Miss Tamika Mallory, who many of you may not know her name, but this extraordinary woman, and I think I'm actually going to welcome two women to the stage together. So Tamika Mallory and Miss Carmen Perez, would you please come to the stage? These are two women who started a firestorm in this country. They are the women who led the March on Washington. And these women, yes, let's give them a round of applause as they come. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Tamika. She's nationally recognized, and she is fiery, outspoken. She's a champion for social justice. And in the Million Women's March leader, she worked really closely with the Obama administration. She's an advocate for for civil rights, and she is very active in her community, not only in New York City, but throughout the country. Tamika is really one of the leaders of tomorrow. And Miss, come this way, my dear. Let's give her a round of applause, first of all. And I have to say that I had the good fortune of interviewing you, and you'll have an opportunity to see that. We'll actually get that up on the Women's Network. But I can say that I walked away inspired. One of the things that you said was, let's not take for granted a woman in her home inviting 40 of her friends to join her and seeing what happened. And I think that sometimes we take for granted that one thing that we can do, or as an individual, and these women have absolutely shown us the way and the power of when we're ignited, what we can do. So I thank you so much, and I want to let you say a few words. Yes.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you who are here today. And I guess, I would just like to say that that is so true, that one woman can change the world. We are already holding the community on our backs. And every issue that exists, women are at the center of those issues. And so if we rise, the entire nation will rise. And if anyone attempts to oppress women, they don't realize that they're really oppressing themselves. And so we are really calling on the entire world, men, women, gender non-conforming folks, everyone to stand, not just with the Women's March on Washington, but to stand in your own communities and really be the change that you seek. So thank you very much for recognizing me today, but this award is really being accepted on behalf of so many women across the world who marched on January 21st because they want to see a better world and a better place for you and I to live in. Thank you.
Well, as we know, they didn't do it alone, and maybe one of you can say a little something about your other, well, there's two other, I want to say partners in crime, but partners in excellence. And I'm going to welcome Miss Carmen Perez to come forward. Let me tell you a little something about this amazing woman. So Carmen has dedicated over 20 years in advocating for many of today's civil rights, and well, it's funny because I'm going to have you come closer here. That I can tell you, I have such an appreciation for people who stand up for those who are oppressed in communities. And Carmen has helped millions of people across the country who are incarcerated by taking a stand. When you take a stand for one, you take a stand for many. And both in New York and California, she has led civil justice and civil rights for not only incarceration, but also for those people in the community who are underrepresented. And I want her to say a little bit about the work that she's doing, and also to include Bob and to include Linda. Yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? I'm really excited to be back home in my beloved California. I currently live in New York City because I work for a phenomenal man by the name of Harry Belafonte. But to be back home with this sun is just beautiful. So I also want to talk about, the work that happened with the Women's March stood on the shoulders of many elders, like the Harry Belafontes and the Gloria Steinams and Dolores Huertas. But there are 2 additional national co-chairs along myself, Bob Bland and Linda Sarsour, who can't be here today. But there were also 70 national organizers, about 400 state coordinators that were all dedicated day in and day out to ensure that there were 5 million people that showed up on January 21st in their communities. And so it's exciting to be here with all of you, and it is truly an honor to be back in California. And I hope that you all enjoy the rest of this conference. Thank you.
There you go, my dear. Thank you. We have another amazing woman who is coming forth, and you know how we do. When we need to take a stand and to stand in for each other, we do that. And I must say, Miss Jenny Gold is a dynamo. Those of you who do not know her, Jenny, we call her the triple threat in the world of entertainment. She is a filmmaker. She's actually has a movie that we are planning on putting out on the network, Cinemability. She's producing a documentary right now, but she takes a stand for those who have had disabilities and to have them included in media in ways that are actually not only inspiring, but accurate portrayals. And I can't think of a better, amazing person to talk about Miss Jenny Gold and to accept the award, because unfortunately she's not feeling well. But we do have Audie here, who is a dynamo and so lovely, and we're so happy to have her to accept the award for Jenny Gold.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. Jenny does deeply apologize that she cannot be here today, but she wants to send her grateful gratitude for this award and appreciation. What she is doing in this industry is phenomenal. She is a spearhead on behalf of people with disabilities. She is an incredible human being and an incredible person with creativity beyond mind-blowing. Showing this industry the different perceptions of how different disabilities are being portrayed in the media, film, television. And she wants to thank you guys again. And she sends her love. And she said that she hopes that she can live up to it. And also, please visit cinemability.com and join the movement for inclusion. It's a campaign that we're doing. So please join us. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Jenny. Thank you so much. Okay. We have another extraordinary woman who is coming up to the stage, being escorted, lovely, by Daryl. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about, this is Norma Yeager. When Norma Yeager acquired her New York Stock Exchange license in 1962, she didn't know of any other women in the industry. The stock exchange didn't even allow women to step on its floor at that time. But having just escaped poverty in the Catskill Mountains of New York, and she was determined to support her children, Norma wasn't going to let any exclusionary traditions in the financial industry stop her from being a stockbroker. During her very long career, she founded a mutual fund and 2 security brokerage firms that transacted millions of dollars of trades every day. She's made fortunes and folded companies, all while raising 5 children. Amazing, right? All of the moms who know about that. Persevering and achieving that work and home balance. Norma rose through the ranks of a very male-dominated industry, and she has opened the doors for many young women who have come behind her. And I want to welcome and thank Miss Norma Yeager.
Thank you so much.
Let's put
Well, let me thank everyone that is here today and remind them that they must persevere. It is not easy to be a winner, but don't be afraid to try, because failure is not a shame, and failure only makes you stronger. Keep trying. Don't be afraid to fail, because I think that we all have it in us to be successful if we persevere.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Our next extraordinary woman is Miss Cynthia Kersey. Tell you a little bit about Miss Cynthia. I know that many of us know the importance of an education. And in some parts of the world, an education is that route out. That is that route out for many young women who have no hope, no possibility of advancing themselves, or being able to support their families without an education. Cynthia is a woman who's been not only a champion for those voices and giving voice to the voiceless, but she's an extraordinary woman who is absolutely impacting future generations and inviting us all to be a part of that very, not only important, but I call it the joyful burden of opening doors for those whose doors have been shut. And I want to thank Miss Cynthia Kersey.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Anyway, thank you so much. I'm sure all of you know what an honor it is to live a life of service. There is no greater calling. So I appreciate this award. I appreciate this organization. And thank you.
Okay. Are we welcoming Christian Seda? Okay. Yes. All right. Here's another light in our community, and this is one of our millennial recipients. This is Miss Seda Kay. And you will have an opportunity to hear her music. We were hoping to get a little bit of her music in today, but we're going to give you a link so you'll be able to find out the extraordinary songs that she has written and that she sings. But she is a torchbearer for some of the younger Christian contemporary gospel community. And she is a mother, a very proud mother, who is really doing that same. I look at Norma, and then you think of generations that are coming up that are still in that same work and life and balance, and being able to incorporate family and to do their work with excellence. And Seda has been an example of that. And we absolutely appreciate the connection that she has to her mother. I don't know if she's going to share, but she has an extraordinary mother who has had a challenge with cancer, and the way that their story has touched not only my heart, but they've been an example of how when we face those challenges, we not only move forward, but we also bring it to the light. So I want to thank and welcome Miss Seda Kay.
Hello, thank you. I prepared just a little something to share because I do get a little emotional. She spoke about my mother, and today I just am humbled and also proud in this moment to be able to stand here reflecting my mother's light and my grandmother's light. I actually lost my mother to breast cancer when I was 8 months pregnant just a few months ago. And it's been a journey, and the one thing that my mother taught me through her fight, her 4-year battle, was how to be strong through it all. And as I am celebrating my first Mother's Day this Sunday, I am celebrating her legacy as well. And when it's moments like these, I'm able to reflect her light a little brighter and be able to really just extend her legacy. And I wanted to just take this moment to say thank you. It's an honor to be here today, but also take this moment to really encourage people who may be in the middle of a battle or trying to figure out how to make that next move in their business or their careers. Where there's a will, there's a way, and I'm really thankful to have my husband and my son here. They're over there, the little baby, and my husband with this camera. But I take my son with me everywhere I go because I want him to see how hard I work and the sacrifices that I make to pursue my purpose in hopes that he also pursues his purpose. And so, Kenny, I want to thank you for being able to care for our son when I'm in the studio and when I'm performing. It's awesome husbands like him that make me be able to shine my light bright. And today in this moment, I not only shine bright on my own, but I stand with the light of my mother, Eilena Watson, and my grandmother, Frances Watson. And I reflect all of the people who have helped me be able to shine and bless others. They always wanted to bless others, and that's always my goal through my music and through my career. So I pray that you all try to find me on social media. I'm very transparent and honest through everything that I do. It's Seda K Music if you want to look me up if you've never heard of me. And I just want to say peace and blessings to you all. God bless. Thank you.
Okay. Our next incredible woman who is coming up to the stage is Miss Kristen Horler. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, we have two Christians. Kristen Dalton's coming up to the stage. Okay. She's a mama. I have to tell you, I had the opportunity to interview her as well. And I'm amazed at our next generation and what's happening with just the vibrancy of the desire to do good, to make an impact in the world. I know that there's this, I want to say it's a misconception sometimes that millennials are focused on themselves or whatever that misconception is. But what I've seen is I've seen some extraordinary young women who are really gathering other young women and encouraging them and being an example for them and mentoring them. So for me, to see women who are amazing, like Kristen, doing their thing, doing their work, and literally changing the lives of millions, I feel fortunate for having met her, and I think you will feel the same knowing that she's doing the work that she's doing in the world. So I want to thank Miss Kristen.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hello. Well, I didn't really write a speech because I just feel like the topic of women and women's inspiration is something I'm really passionate about, and it's so on my heart. And just what I wanted to share today is from my background. For those of you who don't know, I'm a former Miss USA. That was a dream, my dream my whole life. And I have a very competitive spirit. And I developed this formula as a young girl that said that my performance plus other people's approval equaled my happiness or my validation, which obviously is a roller coaster and will make you a hot mess because seeking other people's approval and opinion is always going to be changing and wavering. And so it wasn't until I discovered my true identity as a daughter of God, and I realized that that's never changing and that's never shifting, and I actually get to be completely free in Him and completely secure in Him, that I got really passionate about encouraging other people and other women especially to uncover and unveil her and your true identity, because there is so much power in knowing who you really are, and it's not about what you do, it's not about your accomplishments. And I just remember there's this one defining moment in my life where I went up to this church called Bethel. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of it, but I walked in the room and these girls, these beautiful girls, surrounded me, and they started just like speaking words of life over me and telling me, like calling out the gold in me and telling me that they thought I was beautiful and that I was made for a purpose and that I was like Queen Esther. And honestly, that moment for me in my life was so, it was so powerful. I just remember like bawling, crying, like healing tears, not necessarily because of the words they were speaking, but because it was women that was speaking it to me. And I just feel like men get a lot of the blame for our problems and our issues and our self-worth and our insecurity and our self-esteem. But really, I think it's more women on women pain that gets inflicted. It's more girl on girl pain. And if we can actually be so secure in who we are that we can cause each other to rise up and call out the gold in each other and see what God actually sees in you, then that is when we can really bring about healing and true empowerment. And so that's why I think this award ceremony is really cool, because it's actually calling out the golden women and recognizing women who don't always get recognized, or maybe do work in the trenches or in the shadows and they don't get recognized and they don't get noticed. And so thanks for being here today supporting your friends, because I'm sure a lot of y'all are here today supporting your friends. Thank you to my friend Brittany, who came to support me, and Juice TV, who even gave me this opportunity. I'm a host on TBN and Juice TV, by the way, and they're the ones who nominated me. So thank you to California Women's Conference, Juice TV, my friend Brittany, my husband, and everyone else. And Tia for starting the awards.
Thank you. Here you go, my dear.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Okay. All right. Beautiful words. I want to welcome next Miss Jill Gwatney. Yes. Hello there.
Hi, Tia.
All right. You talk about a dynamo. So I love it when we talk about trailblazing, and there are so many spaces that I feel that when we fall into that passion, that spot that we know that we feel called to do, and we do it in excellence, people take note of that, right? They kind of notice that. And I think Jill has been a wonderful example of that. She actually has spent more than 2 decades in the printing industry, working her way up from an account executive to president. So kind of take that in, actually, because that's not an easy trail, and yet she's done it. In 1999, she founded Roxa. Am I saying that correctly?
You are.
Yay, okay. And they are an independent, data-driven marketing firm. And really, their thing is unrelenting service and dedication for their clients. Imagine when your clients are actually the reason why you're in business. Because sometimes I think we forget that. You know, it's forgotten for many people. And when you do that and you do that well, I think you shine and you rise above the others. So I thank Jill for the work that she's doing. And she is an extraordinary woman who is really, truly doing incredible things.
Thank you, Tia. Yes, thank you. Thanks, everybody. I'm proud to say, too, Tia, that Roxa is now the largest woman-owned advertising agency in the country.
Woo!
So, just a little self-compliment. I'm very good at the self-compliments. So I got the privilege of working 20 years with my father in the printing business, and he taught me a lot of great lessons. And the very first lesson was, so Jill, where do you get money? I said, what, Dad? He said, where do you get money? Does the government give you money? I said, well, no. Do vendors give you money? I said, no. He said, customers, right? I said, well, yeah, Dad, customers give you money. And he said, keep that in mind. That's the only place, they're number one. Figure out what customers need and help them get it done. And that's what I think we do so well, and I think we have a real advantage as a woman to do that, because we're able to show more vulnerability, be more open, be more honest, and we can get under the hood and really figure out how to help our customers. Now, I know I have to share this one story because it's so hilarious. That same day, my father said, now listen, you're 22, you're out there selling printing, there's no women, there's no women selling, there's no women buying, and someone might make a pass at you and say, okay, I'll give you some printing business if you give me a little something. And so I'm cracking up at my father at this point. He said, no, I'm serious. And he said, don't say that's the grossest thing you've ever heard of. Men are kind of sensitive. I said, oh, okay, Dad, what do I say? He said, well, tell him you're so flattered and you're so tempted, but you just don't think it's a good idea to mix business with pleasure. So here it is, 39 years later, and nobody has made a pass at me. But I'm ready to say I'm so tempted. And at 61, I feel like the odds are diminishing. So I just want to say thanks so much for this award. Thank you for this honor. And for all you ladies out there, go out and kick a little ass.
All right, sister. Thank you. Beautiful. Okay, and I'm loving your dad. All right. This is a woman who, before I met her, I had heard her name, I don't know how many different times. And they're like, I'm surprised you don't know her. And she's this amazing woman. And when I saw her walk in with her red hat on and the little extra step that she had, her little pep, I was blown away, first of all, by just the spirit that preceded her. And she's very accomplished. June is a total visionary, and she feels that in the many years of experience that she has as an entrepreneur, that one of the very, we'll say, top priorities and one of the things that she takes pride in is how she actually gives back to community. And so we are so happy that June has decided to not only grace us with the work that she's doing in the world, but also that she is another one who is paying it forward in a big way, and she's going to share a little bit about that. But she's paying it forward in a way that is helping to serve people in the community, again, a big problem that we're starting to hear more and more about, and that is human trafficking, that she's actually dedicated her heart to, her time and energy to as well. So I want to thank and welcome Miss June Davidson.
And it is indeed an honor to be given this award. And I want to reach the hearts of each and every one of you. This is your wake-up call. It was about 8 or 9 years old, 9 years ago, when I had a friend call me with a story, and she said, you have to come and see me right now. I need your help. She had just met an undercover agent. She lived out toward the Riverside area, regarding child trafficking. We are talking about trafficking in the United States, not around the world. We have over 1 million missing children. I heard the story, and yes, we started the nonprofit WomenAgainstChildTrafficking.org. I became totally involved with the undercover agents and the rescue of the children. And the stories are horrific and horrendous. Corona, $1 million home, 14 little boys chained together. The youngest one 9 years old. This is our country. Atlanta, a druggy mother, 2 little girls walking the streets. 2 barbershop owners picked up the little girls in the back room. They busted them. Back in this country, back in the state of California, all across our country. We have people that are putting children in trafficking in their own homes. It will break your heart when you hear some of the stories that I have heard and the children as they grow up. And when they are picked up and rescued, they are taken to a safe house so every bit of their clothing can be taken as evidence. We create what we call the dignity bags, which is clothing for children, small, medium, large, and extra large. Have to use flip-flops for their shoes because it's difficult to get that. So their clothing is taken for evidence. They then are put into child protective custody. Their name is changed and they are taken out of the state. These traffickers will kill them. They know where their families are, and they keep the kids in the trafficking because of that. So they now are in child protective custody. We have places in Northern California. We continue to give money into their education. We buy laptops. We do whatever we can to support their growth. And the psychologists and the psychiatrists that are helping them pull their life back together again, but also the protection there because they have to go to court or they have to have some kind of statement and they have to be protected because the people, as I said, will kill them. Let me tell you, the state of California and the people had to pass it on a ballot, 2011, Proposition 35, to make it a criminal cause. We barely passed. So when you have this going on in your community, it is your wake-up call. Do you know your neighbors? Do you know what is going on? So our Homeland Security lady that I work with also, then she comes to me to start the task force against human trafficking, which human trafficking also are the adults. We've been working with the children. And how many of you have heard of all of the break-ins and the robberies in your neighborhood with cars on the street? They're given tools, the kids are, and taught how to break into the cars. They're dropped off at one end of the street. They break into as many as they can. They're picked up on the other end of the street because if they get caught, they're taught not to tell anything. Everything is taken off of the child's record when they're 18. So these traffickers are only using kids under the age of 18 to send them into department stores to steal. They're training them how to do this. So it is those people that we are going after. And the awareness that you can set up a task force in your own community, I want you to do it now. And I want to thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I can tell your passion.
Oh, yes.
And I think this is what I'm appreciating. I think if we just take one thing away and we have one awareness that we didn't have, we're all better for it. And we may help a child that we don't even know. Our awareness, when we don't know what to look for, we don't know.
I need one fine minute. I asked the Homeland Security lady, where are their children coming from? Right here, most of them are coming from foster homes. They run away. These people know how to pick them up in 48 hours, and we got to close it. We got to pick them up in 24.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is for you, my dear. You're so welcome. Yes. All right. Our next winner is a woman who, when I first had an opportunity to speak with her, actually, all of these women, just such lights, but that spirit of not only community, but it was an example of you never know when your life is going to change and go in a direction that you had no plans for it to go in, and yet it does. So Nancy Vu is a woman who was a mortgage broker, and she took another path, and I wish I had an opportunity to actually show you some of her beautiful fashions, but you'll have an opportunity to see those on the network. She took a path that she was called to and do extraordinary things in the world of fashion, very much unheard of, to come into the industry and took it by storm, to be on the covers and have her work shown in Vogue and Elle and I don't know how many other publications. She's all over the place. But behind that woman was the idea that your creativity, when expressed, and you're living in that highest space of your own creativity, there are no boundaries and there are no limits. And Nancy Vu is a perfect example of that. and I want to welcome her.
Wow, wow. God is so good. And I want to thank him for all that he has done, because without him, I am nothing. And I want to thank my husband and children who are not here today, but have given me constant love and support. They are the loves of my life and my greatest joy. And to my family, and especially my parents, who have given me so much love, wisdom, and guidance through the years. And to my sisters Caroline and Elizabeth, who are here with us today, they have sacrificed so much to travel the ends of the world with me, to support and to co-labor in the vision that we have. And I also want to thank our friends and fans who believe in our mission and who continuous support and cheer us on. And I really can't forget about my intercessors. Because of their faithful prayers, it has opened amazing doors for us to use our platform to release hope, to restore identity, releasing kingdom beauty, and bringing transformation. And I also want to take this time to thank Women's Network and Tia for all that they have done, for believing in our vision, and for allowing me this tremendous honor. For those who would like to know my story and the crazy encounter that I had that marked me and has radically changed my life, the entire course of my life, and which has ushered me into my destiny, I just want to invite you to the VIP booth salon. I would love to meet you and share my story with you. And in closing, can I just get everyone to face me? Because I have a question to ask. Have you ever felt like there was a lion inside of you that just wanted to roar? Especially when you see injustice? I know I have. I think we've all heard of the saying and even giggled at the saying, "I am woman, hear me roar." Well, you know, I actually believe that there's a lion of Judah inside of all of us that needs to be awakened. And so just right now in this moment, can I ask you all to stand with me as women leaders of the world, as women influencers of the world? I'm going to ask you to do something really radical. I'm going to ask you to roar with me. Let our roar for righteousness. Let our roar against injustice. Because you know what? I really believe that if we as women would even just stand together and unite, that our roar can actually break off the shackles of injustice. I really believe that. And so at the count of 3, I'm going to ask you to give me your loudest and mightiest roar. And I'm not talking about some kitty cat purr, okay? You guys ready for this? Okay, 1, 2, 3, roar! Wow, that was so powerful. Thank you for doing this crazy radical thing with me. But let our roar echo the entire earth as we accompany it with action. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Wow. Yes. Okay, wow. Well, I have, last but not least for sure, an amazing woman, Dr. Sharoni Little. She actually serves as Associate Professor of Clinical Management and Communication at the Marshall School of Business at USC. She's the CEO and strategist of her own company. She's an expert in organizational leadership, global communication, and social justice and equity. In her civil career, Sharoni serves as Senior Advisor for the City of Compton and My Brother's Keeper. She's in partnership with the White House for the National Initiative for Boys and Men of Color and is a coordinator of Empowerment to Congress, a LA-based civic organization and a nonprofit. She's also chair of the LA Policies Roundtable for Children and Development Commission. She's partners with the Children's Defense Fund, and she sits on several boards of trustee, and she does that all in her spare time. This is an amazing woman. I know that we all, when we say when you want something done, ask a busy woman, she's a perfect example of that because of all of the things that she does and yet does it with excellence. So it's my pleasure to award Miss Dr. Sharoni.
To whom much is given, much is required. And I want to first of all thank Nancy for that roar. We needed that roar right now. And I also want to just acknowledge all the other honorees and first and foremost give praise and honor to God for all the blessings. And so I was really thankful today that I am here to share, as Tia said, about being busy. And as I said, to whom much is given, much is required. I was born and raised in Compton, California by my single mother, who set the example for me about giving to others. And for me, this conference represents how we must let our light so shine. And it is through the work in which we give to those who are most vulnerable. A lot of us can go and get our acknowledgments, and we can go and share our reputation, but it's really not about that. We need to be on the ground serving others because that is our first ministry. And so, as was mentioned by Tia, I do work for the City of Compton for the My Brother's Keepers initiative because we do have to fight injustice. And I argue that it's very intentional, and so we have to be intentional in our efforts as well, that we cannot sit on our hands and we cannot be complacent. Also, I work a lot with young women, and really our lives are examples, and whether or not we want it to be, people are watching us. And so we have to be aware that our own confidence, our own sense of spirituality, our own sense of giving to others will be either replicated or young people will turn away because they will not like the example that we set. And so today, I would hope that each of us would remember the ability that we have to influence someone's life. Whether it's a smile, some of us can injure people by the frown or the words that we say. But I would encourage us today to smile to someone, to have a kind word to share with someone to uplift them, to help someone not when someone is watching you, but because you know that they need you. And I just think really that's where we have to move in our own world, that we do not need to seek attention for ourselves, but to be honest about where we can make a difference. And I always say, I'm sure you all have heard the saying, straight out of Compton. But I chose to go back after I got my graduate degree because I wanted to set the example that you don't have to leave your community because there are other kids there still watching who live there. So I always say I'm straight into Compton and living my life as an example so young people can see a black female college professor who is also giving back to the community, who can also hang out with my twin sons who are 18 years old about to graduate high school, so pray for me as they leave. But wherever we are and whatever you do, always know that you can make a difference. Again, I want to thank the California Women's Conference. I want to thank my pastor, Reverend Rosalind Brookins, who is joining me today, and my mother, who is absent working at home today, Bonnie Riley, and thank again all of these women. Thank you so much.
Okay, I mentioned when we first started. Well, first of all, let's get a round of applause for all of these incredible reflections of beauty, excellence, and sisterhood. I want to welcome to the stage Mr. Rob Ryder, who has actually accepted an award, a posthumous award for Miss Leah Adler Spielberg. And he's going to say a little bit about her and share a little bit about her life. And I want to welcome him to the stage. Thank you. I know, he's taller.
Hello. At an early age, she developed a love of music when she learned piano, later studying at the Music Conservatory in Cincinnati, and graduating from the University of Cincinnati with a degree in home economics. Steven Spielberg's mother, Leah Adler, was loved in the Los Angeles community and delighted in operating the Milky Way restaurant. She was affectionately known as Lily to her family and friends. In her words, "I was a very delinquent parent. I became a member of my kids' gang. If they wanted to stay home from school, they did. I'd say, let's go out in the desert, guys, and then I'd write lying notes to their teachers about gastrointestinal diseases." And it's been said of her, she was the pixie. She was quite quixotic. She didn't have an artificial bone in her body. Leah was an example of an ordinary woman who encouraged others to live extraordinary lives.
I can tell you, I actually had the opportunity to meet Leah and had frequented her restaurant. And I remember one day I came in, she was known for she'd wear these little overalls. And she gave me a hug, and I was ready to leave. And she kept, when you get ready to kind of break the embrace, and so I kind of like let go, and she held on even tighter. And she said, "Honey, possession is 9/10 of the law, and you're mine now." And she just had this like little spark about her, and she was like this high. And I know she's been an incredible force in the community, and I know everyone was sad. She was actually scheduled to come, and she passed in the course of us planning all of these things. And so I really appreciate Mr. Ryder sharing a little bit about her life. The other woman who we're going to celebrate in a special way, this is someone who I have admired, and I think she's had an impact on many of our lives, and this is Miss Maya Angelou. Her son Guy, who actually lives in Oakland Hills, he's actually disabled, but he wanted to send his deepest gratitude for what we are doing here today, and he said that's his legacy, and that's what he wants to be the legacy of his mother. And they have a foundation. It is the Cage Bird Foundation. And he said that his deepest desire is for his mother's life to live on, and her legacy is for her words to be, to carry on beyond her life. And so I wanted to invite anyone who has a quote or a little saying from Dr. Maya Angelou to share that. And we'll just do it really quickly. We're going to give it a minute. But I can say, my kids laugh because I actually quote her quite often. And so they have their own, is passed on, I must say, to another generation. One of them for me is, and it's when I forget this, I usually suffer for it. And that is, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Anyone else have one that they want to share? Yes, come on up.
There's quite a bit. I could cheat on my phone, but I'll just go off of the top of my head. There's always moments where we have to remember one of her poems. It says, "Still I rise." And in moments where I miss my mom, I always rise up, because I can't be a sad mom to my baby. She would be really mad at me if I was like that. So, still I rise, phenomenal woman. And I know why the caged bird sings. I'm a singer, so, I always reference that. And my mother actually gifted me a book. I don't know the exact title, but it's basically letters from a mother to a daughter, and I highly recommend that if you ever want to look on Amazon and look up the book by Maya Angelou. It has blessed me so much when I'm missing my mom, and Maya Angelou has been a great influence to me as well.
Thank you. Yes. I don't know if everyone heard that. That's another one of my favorites, and she just shared, when you know better, you do better. My mom used to quote that one a lot. Yes. It is not enough to survive, you must thrive. That's right. Oh my goodness. People may forget what you said, people may forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
I would like to be known as an intelligent woman, a courageous woman, a loving woman, a woman who teaches by being.
Beautiful. I think we can all say that we should be so lucky to have a legacy as the legacy of Dr. Maya Angelou. And we thank you for her. And I just want to do a round of applause for all that she's given us in our life. And now I'm going to bring back our beautiful Luminess to share a song. But during this time, I want to invite everyone, we have our winners, to invite their special guest. We have a part of our ceremony, and we call it the Circle of Light. And the reason why we have this Circle of Light, and it represents the fact that we talked about many times women sometimes haven't been as kind to each other as we could have been. And I'm sure we all have, men and women, but women in particular, it's true. We have those times where we can recall someone who truly hurt those relationships that we've had with each other. And a lot of that comes from the idea that there's scarcity, that there's not enough. And we do this ceremony with the Circle of Light because when you light the flame of another, it doesn't diminish your own. You only illuminate even brighter. So that's why we use the light. And I want to invite everyone to bring their special someone to the stage, invite them to come, who is going to light the candle with you. And while we're getting all assembled here, we're going to have the lovely Luminess sing another song for us.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. For each moment of weakness, hope for each moment of pain, comfort for every sorrow, sunshine and joy after rain. God is in every tomorrow, therefore I live for today, certain of finding at sunrise guidance and strength, guidance and strength for my way. Live for today, live for today. Well, it must sound cliche, but live for today, live for two. Yeah, power for each moment of weakness, hope for each moment of pain, comfort for every sorrow, sunshine and joy after rain. Live for today, live for today. Well, it must sound cliche, but live for today, live for live for today.
I want to invite everyone who is in the audience still to just turn your chair to that person next to you. And we have an amazing woman who is 80 years young, Miss Kay Rich. 81 today. Is it today? Woo-hoo! 81 years young. So as we ceremonially light our candles with each other, I want you to share with that person who is sharing this light with you, that thing within you that inspires them and that has inspired you from them. So you're going to share with each other, for those people that you know, the way that person has touched your life and has been an inspiration to you. And those of you who don't know each other, you're going to share someone in your life who has been an inspiration to you with that person. And it's very short, but we really do that as a way to honor that we absolutely don't do it alone, and that each one of us has been affected by that person who inspired us. So we're going to give it just 1 minute, and then we have something amazing that Miss Kay Rich is going to invite us to do. So for just a minute, maybe play. And we do that. Oh, here I am. Oh, you ready for me? Right after this, we're going to share with each other. Say that.
sound cliche. But live for today, live for live for today.
I want to invite everyone who is in the audience still to just turn your chair to that person next to you. And we have an amazing woman who is 80 years young, Miss Kay Rich. 81 today. Is it today? Woo-hoo! Woo, 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 woo. 81 years young. So as we ceremonially light our candles with each other, I want you to share with that person who is sharing this light with you, that thing within you that inspires them and that has inspired you from them. So you're going to share with each other, for those people that you know, the way that person has touched your life and has been an inspiration to you. And those of you who don't know each other, you're going to share someone in your life who has been an inspiration to you with that person. And it's very short, but we really do that as a way to honor that we absolutely don't do it alone, and that each one of us has been affected by that person who inspired us. So we're going to give it just 1 minute. And then we have something amazing that Miss Kay Rich is going to invite us to do. So for just a minute, maybe play. And we do that. Oh, here I am. Oh, you ready for me? Right after this, we're going to
I bow to the light within you. Love yourself, love your others, and have a wonderful life. Bye. good.
You're good.
I'm kidding.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wow. Let's give another round of applause for Miss Kay Rich on her birthday. Came all the way from Miami. Woo!
And it's been worth it.
Oh, and she said, and it's been worth it. I agree with her. So we know that doing something like this doesn't happen by itself. Whenever you are holding a vision, I want to thank Miss Michelle. Where's Michelle again? I tell you. For holding a vision and truly pulling things together, having people who not only believe in the vision, but are tenacious. Because sometimes it gets rough. and we're here, and we're celebrating. And I want to thank some of our sponsors who have stepped up and have supported the conference. I know there are many. There's one in particular that we wanted to say a little something about. So this sponsor, really, truly, they're visionaries, and they're visionaries in another space, in another area. And that is the BitQuick organization. And I think Seda K knows about BitQuick. And there are several of us here who we just feel are not only stepping on the path together, but we're all along this journey. Whether we're hand in hand or heart to heart, we're all in it together. Yes.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Will you guys join us with this song? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Want to thank you all for joining us, and I truly hope that we step out into the world with our light shining, knowing that whether we know others are looking or not, that we truly are illuminating our own communities, our own families, and that we go out of this space with the willingness to be the brightest, to be the best, to be all that you can do and all that you can be with no limits. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart.